probably shouldn't have.
Because you, certainly in terms of PMQs as well, every Wednesday, which I definitely recommend to people to watch, it was very eye-opening watching Starmer debate, because he would get asked a question, or he would get berated basically by, Badenoch or Farage occasionally when he was in Parliament. He would come back to Labour's successes. He wouldn't address the question. He struggled to be able to be an active debater, which I think Burnham's better at, and I think that's what Labour is looking for. They're looking for someone who, of course, he doesn't have his own mandate, so he's going to be very similar in terms of his economic policies, because they're both very, very similar sides of the political spectrum. I think they're expecting Burnham to be the same, but it's a fresh face. The media, a lot of people, like 70%, I think, in a recent poll, really don't like Starmer, because they think he's weak. They don't think he's a nice leader. He doesn't stand up to Trump.
He's over -60 in the popularity polls. He's not doing well, whereas Burnham, if you look, he's at about -5, which for a Prime Minister is very good.
Yeah, like, Starmer failed, apart from his stance on Iran and then Cyprus and stuff like that. He struggled to have a heavy hand or a decisive hand in foreign policy. Domestic policy, was quiet in the background, but the media didn't cover it, which, yes, is unfortunate that a good deed by a person doesn't get covered by the media. But the fact of the matter is that a very charismatic Prime Minister, Tony Blair, for example, would get that scrutiny from the social media, and you'd twist it and you'd throw it right back at them with clever rebuttals and like actual structured debates and PMQs. Starmer just stood up and just said, like, NHS waiting times are down.
Yeah.
I housing is up, and it's like, but the question is about immigration, for example.
So Starmer wanted to get those domestic policy successes out there into the open. That's what he'd spent a lot of his time at PMQs doing, but he never particularly did it very effectively.
No.
He never got it out to the people.
Yeah. That was his problem.